Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. And apologize guys, I didn't have time to get many elf games by myself. By the way, for those of you watching, if you are a high elf, dark elf player and you have a good replay or a nice build you want to send my way, by all means feel free. Haven't had a ton of time to play games in the past couple days, so here's a replay from our good friend Pharaoh War. Once again, wanted to show off this unit because it's not a unit you see too often, and yet it's an insanely powerful unit. That is the Chaos Knights with lances. So obviously he's got the Warriors of Chaos here. We've got a couple of Marauder Horsemen already doing some very cost-effective skirmishing against these Doomfire Warlocks here. Harpies supporting them. We've got a Supreme Sorceress, Lore of Death with a Black Dragon, front line of Bleak Swords. Got a couple of Harkonneth Executioners, Witch Elves, and some Cold One Knights. And then for Chaos, looks like Marauders up front with some Chaos Warriors, Sword and Board. We've got some Forsaken out on the flanks. Chaos Warriors with great weapons, some Hounds, and plenty of Marauder Horsemen with Javelins as well. So yeah, Chaos Knights with Lances. So what makes them so good? Well, they have 80 charge, a charge bonus of 80, which is just insane. It's one of the highest of any units of Shock Cavalry in the game. I think it's on par with like Dragon Princes. They have 120 armor. I believe they have more HP than just about any other unit of heavy Shock Cavalry. So they are a very, very strong unit of cavalry, and because Chaos has so many good monsters and stuff, you don't tend to see them a whole lot, but against the Dark Elves, one of their weaknesses can be heavy Shock Cavalry, so we'll see how they do here. You can see the Marauders doing a great job skirmishing out these Harpies and the Sorceress there. Sorceress has Lore of Death, and it looks like a little bit of a misclick there. Unfortunately, the Soul Blight went over there instead of right on top of these Chaos Knights here. That does mean that the Doomfire Warlocks are just going to get torn to shreds. After those Hounds had broken the charge of the Warlocks, the Chaos Knights can then come in and just wreck. Granted, Cold One Knights will do fairly well here, but they're going to screen back through their own Forsaken. And it looks like some Marauder Horsemen also being thrown in as well. The Spirit Leech is pretty decent against units of cavalry. Not amazing, but in the backline here, Harpy's trying to go in against Horsemasters. Oh, these are actually Horsemen and Horsemasters. Okay, so it looks like we've got a mix there. Meanwhile, frontline engagement going to be getting underway here. Some Marauder Horsemen being caught up by the Cold One Knights and the Bleak Swords. Let's see, Witch Elves. Looks like the Arms of Paul's Black Horror being used as well from the Sorceress. That's the bound item there. Did quite a bit of damage to those Marauder Horsemen, and it looks like this Purple Sun also came in. Didn't quite do as much against these Chaos Warriors. Looks like those Cold One Knights unfortunately are rampaging, but this is going to be a potentially risky situation for Big Bird here. He gets dived on by the Dragon, by the Supreme Sorceress here. There's these Cold One Knights in the vicinity, but from the front line are going to be charging in, yeah, I believe these Chaos Knights with Lances coming in to try and bail out Big Bird here. We also get a final transmutation, and oh man, I just about missed it. Oh yeah, I think I did, but the Sorceress there just got torn up super fast. That final transmutation, a couple quick volleys, a couple attacks by Big Bird, and the Chaos Knights charging in. We're able to just finish her off super fast. So Dark Elf leadership is down. At this point, that means they're going to start having major leadership issues. And yeah, you can see Chaos just winning all across the field here pretty convincingly. This center engagement definitely going pretty well for the Dark Elves here, but just in general, those Chaos Knights able to roll up quite a few units, despite the fact they did take quite a bit of damage there. 21 kills and an XP chevron, so not the most kills in the world, but they did manage to get an XP chevron. That's pretty good stuff. A nice Plague of Rust there, Overcast, to bring that Black Dragon down to only 20 armor. That does mean these Horsemasters will perform quite well. I have to say, this build from Pharaoh is quite good. Personally, I would probably cut the Great Weapon Chaos Warriors just for more Sword and Board Chaos Warriors, because you have Big Bird to use that Plague of Rust on certain high-value targets, and generally, the Dark Elves, a lot of their stuff tends to be relatively low armor. They really only have like Harkonneth Executioners, the Cold One Knights, and Blackguard that you really have to worry about too much as high armor units. Everything else is going to be relatively low armor, so I personally just bring Sword and Board usually in this matchup, but it is nice to have a couple of great weapons here to be able to trade a little bit more cost effectively into those armored units. But yeah, you can see the Dark Elves are going to get ground down here at this point, so Dark Elf Flare goes ahead and admits defeat there, and a very nice build from Pharaoh. We're going to take a look at one more from him using these Chaos Knights, but like I said, only 21 kills, but an XP Chevron, taking out those Doomfire Warlocks quite handily with the support of the Hounds, of course, and then also rushing in to help bail out Big Bird there. He probably would have been fine, but it's always nice to have some extra support. The Dragon got a little bit of damage done against Big Bird, just about took him down, but unfortunately wasn't quite enough. And you can see the rest of the Chaos Infantry just doing well overall, not really being challenged too hard. Hargoneth Executioners did okay, able to hold out until the late game, but yeah, unfortunately just unsupported there. Not going to be able to hold it out. And we'll go ahead and take a look at one more. You can see Pharaoh does have that Chaos Knights with lances once more, 2 units of Chosen with halberds, a couple of Great Weapon Chaos Warriors, some more Forsaken Hounds, Shadow Sorcerer this time, and Kolek, as he is up against excuse me, the other Chaos Boys, Norsca. Personally, I like Lore of Fire a little bit better here, but if you are going to be doing Kolek, having Enfeebling Foe plus Kolek is just absolutely a nightmare for most factions. For Norsca, we've got a front line of Marauders here, mixed with some great weapons, a couple Pharaoh Mammoths, very interesting, single unit of Famir with great weapons, we've got some Beast of Tashnar here, looks like a Norscan Ice Wolf Chariot, Warhounds out on the flanks, more Spearmen, so pretty good stuff. We'll see how this does here. The Norscan the Ice Wolf Chariots now have 95 speed, making them one of the fastest chariot units in the game. They also have Frostbites. They're going to come in, get a clean charge, do a little bit of damage. Not the most in the world, but they do run over a few of those Forsaken. Meanwhile, in the front, you can see these Chaos Knights getting ready to charge in. We'll see kind of where they go to. The Mammoth's going to act as sort of line breakers here, but the Chaos Knights just going straight in the center against these Great Weapon Marauders. They'll just be able to clean through them, no problem. You can see more than a quarter to about a third HP, now transitioning into about half HP as that charge bonus is still active. Yeah, basically a one-shot charge there on those Marauders. Likewise, an Enfeebling Foe going to be put on the Mammoth. The Knights will charge in and do a solid amount of damage, 46 weapon strength, and that 80 charge bonus, of course, when the charge bonus is active. For those of you guys who don't know the way this works, it applies to both melee attack and weapon strength on the initial point of the charge, the full amount, and then it wears off linearly over, what is it, like 5 seconds or something? Yeah, you can see a final transmutation there from the Chaos Sorcerer. Is going to catch, sorry, the Shaman Sorcerer rather, is going to catch the Chaos Sorcerer, but the Chosen and the Knights able to get away from there. The Chosen with Halberds, very good pick here. Elite tier Halberds are excellent against Norsca. They do have tools to deal with them, but it can be relatively tough. You can see Kolek coming in here to start to deal with this this other Mammoth, the first having been shattered. Throg's also in here, though, so it might potentially be a tough situation. But the Chaos Knights here at this point, unfortunately, have cleared out a lot of the support, but they are tangled up with these Famir with great weapons, which obviously will do a lot of damage to them. And Chaos Knights with lances, probably their biggest downside is that you can't heal them. Every other unit of elite shock cavalry in the game is able to be healed because it's on a faction that has healing. Chaos, of course, at the moment doesn't have healing. Maybe later on when we get Game 3, I understand Lore of Nurgle potentially has some healing spells. That would be super cool, and it would definitely make Chaos Knights with lances that much more formidable. As it is right now, they are able to pull away from that engagement without routing, which is pretty advantageous. Meanwhile, Duel of the Wizards here, Enfeebling Foe, though, is going to be on the Shaman Sorcerer. The Chaos Sorcerer is just better anyway, has high armor, very good combat stats. Not to mention a hammer to the back of the head will probably do it for you. Kolek coming in there from the side door, finishing things off. And yeah, you can see Norsca not looking too great at this point. Chaos Knights very tattered, but Arbit just being used to chase down Marauders. 46 kills, 46 kills in the XP Chevron there. So already having got some great work done. The Mammoth's coming through. Looks like it's enraged, unfortunately, fighting into Halberds, which is always rough. Those Chosen with Halberds. 56 melee defense, 46 weapon strength with a massive bonus versus large as well. Let's see here. Yes, 26 bonus versus large, which is just huge. So they would be tearing that guy to shreds, no problem. Throg getting tangled up with the Chosen with Halberds and Kolek, so this is pretty much a worst case scenario for him. The only thing that could make this worse would be like Flaming Sword of Ruin or something, but as it is, Throg is going to go ahead and flee away from there. The Chaos Knights regrouping back here did get caught by the Beast of Tashnar, unfortunately, so they will be finished off, but they've definitely done a great job here. Certainly an excellent pick, and not one you see too often either, so I do like that pick quite a bit from Pharaoh. You guys know, of course, I'm partial to heavy shock cavalry anyway, and man, Chaos Knights just look so cool. So Yeah, good job, boys. You, the 4 or 5 of you that survived that definitely deserve a good rest. So maybe some extra mutations as well. But yeah, Throg at this point barely holding on to his leadership, and once he goes, the rest of the Norscan forces are going to want to go as well. Very good use of that enfeebling foe by Pharaoh in this game. Just comboing that with Kolek, very, very powerful against these single entity targets especially. Nice Lord of the Storm there, smashing those spearmen. Looks like this unit of Chosen with Halberds actually getting cleaned up by Marauder Great Weapons, Feral Mammoths, Hounds, just everything combined in the late game, but it's not going to be enough, I don't think. At least Ice Wolf Chariot is still online, though. Maybe Norsca could bring this back, but I just think the loss of leadership there with Throg being gone, all these units are just going to want to rout so easily. And there is still a basically full health unit of Chosen here. So, yeah. It's a good start, though. Give him that Frostbite and see if you can't get a good charge in. But this is the problem, is these 2 unit models have now got bogged down. The other one was able to punch through successfully, but, I mean, just a matter of seconds. They will get torn to shreds by those Chosen with Halberds, so, yeah, they needed to pull out a lot sooner than that. They're basically done for at this point. That is going to bring army losses ever so closer, and like I said, the leadership is just not there for Norsca at this point, so it is going to be a victory for the traditional Warriors of Chaos. Although, regardless of who wins in this one, Chaos Gods will be pleased. And I think that's it. Yep, there it is. Alright, very well played to both players. Hope you guys enjoyed that quick Chaos double cast. Nice use of the Chaos Knights with lances there by Pharaoh War. So, just remember, I mean, Chaos, you tend to think of them as an infantry, very strong infantry faction supported by great monsters. They do have a very good unit of heavy shock cavalry as well. Like I said, you just don't see them that often because they can't heal in comparison to other units of heavy shock cavalry, but still, in terms of the build, super solid against Norsca to bring the 2 Chosen with Halberds and the Chaos Knights with lances. It's just so much for them to deal with. You can use the Halberds to take down Famir, help support with the Knights with lances against infantry, and just generally use them as kind of a mobile strike force. Definitely worked out quite well here. So, yeah, just one more quick summary for the old Chaos Knights here. Let's see. So, yeah, 1500. Pretty on par with other units of heavy shock cavalry, but like I said, they can't heal as compared to, let's say, Dragon Princes can heal for the High Elves. Let's see. In terms of shock cavalry, Dark Elves and Lizardmen have an elite tier of cav, but they're not necessarily shock cavalry. Let's see. Empire, you could argue the same for Demigryph Knights, but like traditional heavy shock cavalry, like Vampire Counts have Blood Knights, which can heal. Bretonnia obviously has Grail Knights, which can heal, you know, and so on. So that's the main downside of Chaos Knights with lances, is they're the only elite shock cavalry in the game that can't heal, but they do cause fear, and they have a bit more HP as well than most other units of shock cavalry. If we compare them to Grail Knights, for example, you can see Grail Knights have 5,000 HP, Chaos Knights rocking 5850, so yeah, very strong HP pool, but that does come up with a bit of a trade-off. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.